Yes, I go ahead. Good to go.
All right. Well, here we go. Yeah. So we're just going to talk about building AI native companies and what it really means to have a digital employee. This is my first workshop, so bear with me. Miles is going to be helping out a lot. So, and Miles, turn your camera on. Let's see your pretty face. All right. So we got this is the roadmap. Basically, we're going to define what AI native is, what actually separates AI companies from all the other companies that are building with just AI software like Claude or OpenAI software. We're going to talk about strategies, paths to assist, becoming fully autonomous, as opposed to just using off the shelf software, finding leverage with being able to leverage your AI employees in ways that you can't really do with other stuff. The workflows, the strategies, that are involved in implementing agentic uh, um, employees into your company. A lot of people think it's easy, but you have to do it in very specific ways, or else you'll get a lot of pushback. And we'll get into that in a little bit. How to avoid all the traps that founders make and fixing them, and the culture of execution. Building a team that embraces your AI employees. So it's can be very different than building a traditional startup, you know, uh, in how it operates. And we want to be able to just kind of get you guys, up to speed on really what these employees are capable of, and how they operate, and how you're able to integrate them into your team.
Yeah. And hey, guys, just to set the tone and perspective too, some of the things you're going to learn that Justin put together here are things that has not yet really been seen or mainstream yet. So bear with us. Some of these concepts that we're going to introduce are kind of actually contrarian to how you implement and deploy into the enterprise. And people are just now starting to think, how do I deploy real AI employees, not just discrete agents, not just specialized agents, not just another chatbot, but real agents into the enterprise, into large companies, even small companies, things like that. So bear with us. We want to make this interactive. And hands-on. So feel free to raise your hand, speak up, make sure you unmute your microphone, and we'll answer questions as we go along. But yeah, this is the cutting edge. This is the bleeding edge of agentic engineering, but not agentic engineering, but deploying it into large companies, and what this looks like, and how important this is, whether your company survives uh, or dies in the midst of rapid changes in the enterprise. Yeah. So go ahead, Justin.
Uh,
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So just we'll talk about the mile high view. What it takes to build an AI native company. So most companies will use chatbots, or even an agent. And these agents, they'll have very specific workflows. They'll be able to pull from a specific piece of software and kind of move to another piece of software. So you'll have something that's can go from QuickBooks to Google Spreadsheets, and their workflows are very very linear. They can't operate in the same way that these new digital employees can operate. So AI, you have like assisted AI companies, you have AI augmented, which is going to have these workflows that they've pre-established, and then you have these AI native companies that they really don't have many traditional employees. They may have two or three people running these new digital employees that are able to do the work of thousands of people. And companies like that are so far ahead of the game when it comes to being able to pivot, when it comes to being able to operate with lower costs, getting work done faster. These there's no real comparison between the two. They're night and day, and it's a new type of startup creation. It's a new type of company that's going to be built with this. Uh, there you know a completely new type of startup. And what really defines an AI native company? It isn't how many AI tools you own, it's how the company is wired. Yeah, and that's actually what I was just talking about. So outcomes, not clicks. Work is harder. Um, or sorry, Miles, you want to talk about elaborate what I was talking about for a second?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, and there's a lot of ways to think about this, but we were at recently, Justin and I were asked on a podcast with one of the top 10 executives in AI. What really makes the difference between an AI native company, an AI agentic first company, and just like an AI progressive company, et cetera, et cetera. And it's whether or not the company is bottlenecked at the founders. So if your AI agent, if the AI agent can, AI employee can actually empower the founder to make decisions instead of do the remedial work, help the founder strategize, not just in a back and forth conversation, but deliver strategies, deliver like in your inbox when you wake up in the morning. Hey, I was, like you asked, I was kind of contemplating some things, pulling some data together, and I had some ideas. I mean, some like real Tony Stark Jarvis shit, right? Like, like actually uncapping the founder from going forward. Now, this technology is for real today. This absolutely can be in place today. So this is really what makes the difference. Is it AI at the core or is it AI bolted on? This is no longer a software paradigm. Really the other definition is um, getting some bad feedback, audio feedback. If those in the audience can mute their microphone, please. Okay, so does the AI system do approximately all the work? Yes or no? We're heading into an era very soon where your company must be doing approximately all the work. I'm not talking about like the real hard engineering, the extremely like need to be eyes on the Elon Musk like have to have 8 different tabs open to come up to one conclusion. Those really really hard things that humans do right now, but approximately all the work, approaching all the work, or at least your company's heading in that direction. What defines an AI company? Number three, what you'll find is that if you have an AI employee, in order for him to have context, he really needs to have tentacles in like all departments, essentially. He really needs to be able to pull from a large data set. So those are the attributes of an AI native company. Does your company have this? Yes or no? You absolutely will need your company to have this. You need to be working at a company that works like this. And that will make the massive decision over the next couple of years whether your company thrives or dies or is dying.
Yeah. So, anybody have any questions about that at all, or you guys just following along? Anyone? Yeah. All right. The different
I
strat.
have a question.
Oh, yeah. Please go ahead.
Yes, a question regarding specifically the use of AI tools. So, would you say that creating an AI native company can be strongly related to creating a hard tech company? So, AI tools can assist hard tech companies in order to succeed in their entrepreneurial ventures?
Sorry, what kind of company? Hard tech?
Yes, hard tech, hard slash deep tech. Have you heard of it before?
Yeah, I mean, so you know, there's lots of different kinds of deep tech companies or hard tech companies. But this is I mean, sorry, one more time your question.
Does this
Yes, of
apply
course.
to deep tech companies? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
uh,
And if
So
so, how?
deep
yeah.
tech companies, are very like a lot of their work is it's a good question because a lot of their work is focused on the real hard engineering problem, the real innovation. And um I would
Well, I
say
would say yeah because it you're my Miles is thinking about the product side of it, but there's so much more to a company than the product facing. You have all of your outreach, you have all of your your marketing, your emails, your investor relations, your everything that you do besides your development, and even parts of your development. You can have it do research for you. You can have it do you know I mean, with these latest models, yeah, you can have it create 3D models for you, or come up, work with it on ideas and logic for what you're building. Before this, I was doing a defense tech company. I was building uh, edge AI battery systems, battery management systems for defense tech. I was working with the CIA and Andril, designing AI battery systems. So yeah, I mean, it can definitely be used for hard tech and building like that. I mean, maybe not fully product facing or fully product side, but you can use it for like everything else, and even parts of product side.
yeah, the key is, are you heading in that direction of it approximately doing all the work for you? And even a deep tech company, what's the most deep tech company we think of today that's actually successful? OpenAI and Anthropic. What did Anthropic just say? They literally said they're using Claude Code and recursive self-improvement in automated loops in order to do a lot of the improvements. You can pit models against each other to do research and like really, really deep analysis and debates and find contrarian views in deep tech using these models. Set up a council of AI researchers. Like this is now within the
Hmm.
possibility. And we absolutely like even especially I would say especially deep tech needs to head in this direction. A deep tech company that's competing with another deep tech company, which one's going to win? The one that's most automated, the one that their talent is totally focused. By the way, that's how you win the talent. That's how you keep the talent, and that's how become a talent dense company is not giving your extremely talented most forward thinking employees, those that are actually innovating, a bunch of remedial tasks. You're totally automating everything else.
Yeah. So, first of all, are you aware of Hermes?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, would you say that Hermes can help me within my deep tech company?
I mean,
How can it help you?
or
Yeah, you
can
could
Uh,
say
help
so.
you.
Yeah,
this
can
would
and how?
be this would have to be this actually we have something better than Hermes. Probably a better question off chat because I don't know a lot about your we don't know a lot about your deep tech company.
What are
Um,
you doing actually? What's your company
Well,
about?
the big aim is to democratize quantum technology, to make quantum technology more accessible to the masses, as quantum technology currently costs millions of dollars and consumes a ridiculous amount of energy, similar to AI data centers. But that's the broad vision. The current vision is to create an optimized engine that you could take, put it onto logistics vehicles such as ships, planes, trucks, in order to make them fully autonomous without the need of humans to intervene at all in order to control them. That's pretty much the aim of. That's pretty much what I'm working on right now.
Oh, that's
yeah,
pretty
so there's a lot that a Hermes like agent even OpenClaw and now Preston could probably help. But let's we have like about 30 people on the chat. Let's have like a separate meeting if you want to book, just send a message to me and I'll send you like we'll have more of like a 30-minute discussion on that if you'd like. But probably should move on with the meeting right now, Zia. But any quick questions, general questions would be probably better for the group setting.
Yeah.
How can I contact you?
Yeah, just in the chat right here, just hit us up with your email and we'll send you a booking link.
I'll send my LinkedIn for you guys. But yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, so we're talking about the strategies, of implementing, your stage one. You have individuals using AI to work faster, help with their documentations, personal, and then you have like augmented, which is AI is actually embedded in their real workflows. So you can set up cron jobs if you want to have your AI employee doing stuff, like let's say you say, "Hey, I want every time a new email comes in, I want you to read the email and let me know if it's a if it's a potential client, and then you have fully autonomous, where you basically have a full cron jobs that's okay. I read my emails and then come up with draft replies and get them ready to send out, and then I'll look over it, and then you have your AI native, where you're going to have okay, read my emails, make the drafts, make the emails, make sure that they're perfect. Like once you really trust it, and then send them out for me automatically. I don't even have to look at it, and that's going to just take over these full jobs. But that comes with trust. So you're gonna want to use this system first. You're gonna want to stage it just like we have lined up here on the slide. So you have a bunch of different hello. Oh my. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good. So yeah, I mean, you start with something basic, and you kind of see what it does. You work back and forth with your digital employee until you've built this trust with it, until you can have it automate more and more and more of the job, and so that it's full. Like by the time you're ready, it's it does everything you want because they're self learning, they're self improving. So the more you work with it, it's going to learn how you want it to respond, when you want it to respond, and then it'll become better at your workflow in particular, or your company's workflow. So here, where are you right now? Um, you can basically audit yourself, figure out exactly where your company is right now in this new AI employee revolution. Is there a workflow where AI does the work, not just suggests? Could you point to a process AI runs without human in every step? Do you measure what AI takes off the team's plate? Does your AI use real data and tools, not just generic chat box? Would the work stall on Monday if the AI went away? And the answer, I mean, the answer to that last one should definitely be yes if you're trying to be an AI native company. So Miles, do you want to add a little bit?
Yeah, especially number four. Does your AI use your real data and tools, not just a generic chatbot? It really, these AI employees need a lot of context, and if they don't have it like immediately at the tip of their tongue, they need to be able to go retrieve the information from somewhere. So even like meetings like this, and like important meetings you had with investors or important meetings you had with product, like these kind of meetings really need to be consolidated and be able to be pulled as a strategic thing for your internal system to reason over, to be able to retrieve information and then properly have the information available. You're not an AI native company if you're not heading in the direction of um, I mean, Claude Code's a good example. I mean, Claude, like, sometimes it'll come back with questions like, in order for me to answer this question, I need to know if you are currently talking to investors. It's like, dude, of course I'm talking to investors. I told you that last week. You know what I'm saying? Like if it doesn't have basic questions, you're going to get bogged down in like repetitive questions. You're not going to move forward. This system you're building really needs to be unified, and it needs to have, it needs to have its tentacles. It needs to have, information from all your sources essentially,
Yeah, a
nearly all
robust
your
memory
sources,
system.
and it needs to learn really well. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you, I mean, also identifying high impact AI opportunities, you know, the volume of work, high frequency work, repetitive work, where can you really like implement these AI systems? We were touch on this briefly, with the deep tech question, basically, how are you going to, figure out what responsibilities you're going to push off onto this, digital employee? And the real question is, what tasks are there that you just have to do every day that aren't really utilizing your deep technical knowledge or your specialties, so you really want to push off the tasks that are, drafting all these emails and reading all these documents, doing this deep research, doing these things that would take humans, hundreds of hours to complete, in a month. And you had teams of people doing this, and it's really, their time is much better off spent, doing the stuff that they are, uniquely qualified to do. Like the deep research, or sorry, like the deep tech stuff, maybe designing circuit boards or whatever you guys are going to do. And then you give these, kind of the secretarial work, the all of your outreach, all sorts of stuff that these AI employees can do. Miles, if you want to elaborate a little bit on that.
No, that was excellent.
All
Yep.
right, perfect,
That
perfect.
that hits it.
All right, let's take a look. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Score it does. Don't guess it. You basically, there are different kinds of what people are calling agents these days, and you're when you're selecting one, you really need to choose something that is going to be able to do all the tasks that you want it to do. Especially if you're trying to build this AI native company, if you can only do very specific or discrete things, it's not going to be uh, you know uh, the right one for your company usually. And how much time, money, and risk does it solve? Is it solving? Is it freeing up? Obviously, if it can free up your time and money, that's better. How often are you using it? Is it being used daily? Is it being used every minute of every day? And how feasible is it to actually integrate into your systems? Can it use all of your current software that your company is using? A lot of these legacy softwares, they don't have APIs, they don't have integration, they don't have a way to connect with these bots. So is your digital employee able to take a legacy software without an API and be able to see what's on the screen, take screenshots, and then click through that interface without having to, without any API, without any, traditional integration? If it's able to do this, run it on its own, virtual machine. Is it able to do things with this, with these older legacy softwares or whatever your company may be using? Maybe you don't use legacy software. Maybe everything's, great, and has APIs for integration. But a lot of companies are using, older software stuff that's not as easily integrated. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if there are any questions or if Miles wants to say something as well about this.
Sure. So on this slide, this is a really good rule of thumb. When you're in your industry, you're really thinking about, okay, what are the things we can automate first? For example, our internal Preston, works with law firms, and there's a risk profile associated with each document that comes out. If a document is inaccurate or gives hallucinations or does the wrong thing, then that score can be pretty low. So really, actually, this slide, if I were to amend it, would be four. So you got impact. Um, let's say there is it's low impact, but it's high frequency. Like responding to emails could be like a three. So then you associate the frequency five because it happens all the time, and this scale can go up to 10 maybe. Um, feasibility, you can assign it like you can assign it like a four because you can tell like did it draft the emails correctly? But I would say axis four would be risks. So what would be the risk associated with responding to an email incorrectly? Actually, it can be pretty high, right? So I would score it a one. It's like it's high risks, so maybe, out of all the things you want to automate and like really work with your agent, a fully autonomous agent that the one we're describing, and making sure it's automated and trusting it, like Justin's talking about, you want that score as high as possible. And you want to kind of take that score associated with that and say, which ones have the highest score, which ones have the most impact on my company, which ones have the lowest risk, which ones happen the most often. Is there a golden rule set by which I know like, hey, this is definitely a good response, it's definitely not a good response. How clear is this? And the highest scores you want to automate first. You want to focus on those, and then you want to go through the stack. Even if they're high risk, now using the best models, you still absolutely can get value out of these systems. And like yeah, I guess this would be a good time, Justin, to give a really good example of things that have been automated and that we're currently automating in our own company and in a law firm.
Yeah, I mean, well, with our own company, we've set up cron jobs for, doing bug squashing and various different tasks. So if like, let's say if our, we're doing a bunch of coding tasks that day, and we're, developing new pieces of software. At the end of the day, our autonomous employee will go through and figure out, what if there are any bugs in the system, and go and start dealing with those bugs in the system. And also, you can have them check, hey, how much money did we spend today on tokens? What's our daily spend? What's our, hourly spend when we have three people on? And you can have him doing these, very, different tasks within the company. Uh, are there any questions about this at all? Anybody want to ask anything? Anybody? No. All right, cool. We'll go to the next one.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. So just to confirm, if it's to see if I understood what you just said. So what all of what the previous slide was about was whether or not AI tools are good for your company and whether or not the benefits outweigh the detriments of having such AI tools. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I mean, if you're like, let's say your company, or you're using it to respond to investors, you may not want to do that right at the beginning, before you've established, incredible trust with this, because that's a very high risk, email to send out. But if you're sending generic outreach to potential clients, or to for networking, then yeah, that's a little bit less risky than talking to your VCs and stuff like that, because you really don't want to mess that up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Touchton.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Ghana, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, had a question in the chat. How does human judgment play a role in this matrix? Speaking of the last slide.
Oh yeah, well, strategic human in the loop. So you're gonna have, let's say if you're doing something that is high risk, you can still have it fully automated, or well, almost fully automated, where it's going to draft everything for your investors. It's going to go and do the research on them, go through their LinkedIn's, figure out what their firm's portfolio is, and figure out what kind of companies they invest in, and then explain to them how your company fits their portfolio, even if it's a little bit different. You can, it'll figure out a good way to word it, and then before it sends it, it can, it'll show you, and you'll be able to, either pull the trigger and be like, yeah, go send those out, or yeah, that looks good, or no, that doesn't look good. I want to, definitely not mention this particular aspect, or whatever it may be.
Can
And
you,
yeah.
can you go to the last slide, Justin?
Let me see if I can do that. Yeah, here we go.
But this is a different matrix entirely than human in the loop. So yeah, to Justin's point, yeah, it's always strategic human in the loop. It's just learning. The system has to be dynamic and learning when to ask the questions instead of being like exactly like ask these questions always in these circumstances no matter what. This has to move and adapt with your trust as you build, just like an AI employee. I mean, literally, your AI system has to be as dynamic and robust and adaptable and customizable as a individual, a human, as a human employee. Truly, there's no way, there's no other way around it. You would not hire somebody if they were robotic in that sense. And so you're actually teaching your AI system exactly when to recognize risk, when to move forward. I hope that answers your question, Ghana. So it's not on these four axis or anything. This is to understand when to prioritize teaching your AI. There's so much to teach your AI employee day one, week one, month one. What do you prioritize him or her, your AI employee, getting good at initially? Where do you spend your time initially? This is what this slide's about. But yeah, always strategic human in the loop, dynamic, learnable, adaptable. Yeah, so next slide.
All right. Let's see. Making it real, particular strategies for implementing AI workflows. Start with the outcome. So yeah, defining your outcome. Especially when you're starting out, with training your new AI employee, just like any other human, you need to be very, very specific about what you want. It's so that when you're telling it to them, especially the first few times, so that they kind of get the general idea of what you're talking about when you say certain things. So you really want to define even the steps as to what you want it to do, and then later on, after he's done a similar task a few times, especially for you, he's going to be better at understanding what you want to be done. And we even ask our digital employee after he's done with each job, like let's say we've done a large development task with him, we'll ask him, hey, what did you learn during this development cycle? What did you figure out, and why couldn't you just give me exactly what I wanted with the first prompt? And he'll list off all the things that he's learned throughout this process, and then you'll be like, all right, I want you to save that into your memory so that next time when I ask you to make something like this, you just be able to give it to me with the first prompt. So you're really training this just like you would any other employee. Hey, I need this done just like this every single step, and then the next time you can be like, this is the result that I want, and he already knows how to get there because you showed him the different steps to get there. Or and he'll design his, once they get better at designing their own workflows and stuff, as he learns, you'll be able to implement this much easier. You'll be able to just be like, hey, I want this piece of software, and he'll already kind of know how to do that. So it's much faster as time goes on.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a really great presentation. As we launch these agentic agents, both OpenAI and Anthropic have trained their all of their models to do what I call the progressive drip, which is they do the task and they either ask a series of option questions or they stop. In both cases, they stop. I mean, the cynic in me says that increases token load, so it helps generate more revenue for them. How do you get the agents to run autonomously, at least with the open source model? I mean, with the lab models, and not stopping.
Well, I mean, you have to be of choosing the right digital employees, the right agents, or kind of building them custom for yourself. I mean, I mean, we can't really self promote too much on this, but yeah, our digital employee is has a very robust memory system that we've patented. And when, like, for instance, if I'm having him produce a slide deck like the one like the one that we have right here, you know, this was basically generated with a single input, and he didn't ask me any questions. I basically just told him, hey,
Sure.
I need the deck for today. This is what the talking points are. He already knows our color palette. He already knows, how to make this deck exactly how we want it. The fonts, the little boxes, the little images and stuff that we want on them, because we've made, 50 decks with him, for investors, for sales, for clients, for all these different things. And he, when you have a robust memory system that already knows those things, he's not going to stop and ask you the same clarifying questions over and over and over again, so like these generic ones that they're producing are. So memory is the real answer to that. Really, really good memory, with your AI digital employee for enterprise. And I mean, Miles is the expert at memory, so I'll let him talk about that just for a second.
Yeah, sure. I mean, memory and retrieving information from memory is exactly how you eliminate hallucinations. Justin was able to do that because we've been teaching Preston, like, literally our strategies and everything we do with enterprise clients and customers on how to deploy agents. He's learned from me in my previous presentations. He's learned from me in working with him on strategies. He has access to our partner development decks associated with sales. Like, these are really, like, the concepts that we put together, and that already that Preston has access to, and that's why he was able to put this slide together in just a handful of back and forths with him. It's quite
It was
amazing. It's
it was just one. He one shotted this. Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Well, it's funny where everything's moving so fast. Preston's getting so good. Another update to what Justin was saying. You no longer have to tell him what he learned. So he automatically at the end of every chat goes in and decides what to learn and remembers it in his memory bank. That's another update. I mean, everything's just changing so fast when you have a compounding, self-improving system. This is what you would expect.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Is it
even to the point where I was like, "Yeah, make sure you put it in the right folder." And he goes and figures out. He's like, "Oh, this should go in the presentations folder," and I'll make sure Miles has access to it. And, like, he already knows, like what to do, and that's because he's learned from all of the other decks that we've done. What folder we would put it in, who needs access to this. He knows it, so he's not going to ask me all these questions. And
Yeah,
honestly, even probably the generic ones that Claude and OpenAI are making wouldn't even ask you those questions. And they really don't have access to your folders like that and stuff. So it's very a robust system, self-learning, self-improving with incredible memory, and you'll end up with a digital employee that can really perform for you like the way that a human would, you know.
Hmm. Thanks.
yeah. If it is it acting like a human employee or not? I mean,
Uh,
so yeah, we mentioned a lot of the caveats that you need associated with this. And yeah, we're getting surprised by our internal system, Preston. on probably multiple times a week at this point. He created his own AI model.
Model, yeah, his own LLM. So I was,
He reached out to Google Cloud to increase our limits. We only found out through my email, and on and on and on. But I wanted to move on to a couple questions the chat had.
okay.
Thoughts on using OpenClaw thoughtfully connect our internal systems to get work done. Thoughts on, yeah. So should I use, yeah. So OpenClaw and Hermes is directionally correct because it has memory, but I will say I've tried them all. Um, I've tried them all, and yeah, whoever, if you have to leave, make sure to send me guys. Everyone send me a LinkedIn request. But if you see synergies, then set up a meeting. Ask to set up a meeting with Justin and I. We might send a booking link or something like that. Looks like we got some people coming in from LinkedIn already, but yeah. So, but Hermes and OpenClaw are really rough at first. I mean, you really have to wrangle it. If you're an engineer, if you're like a deeply technical engineer and you want to focus on solving this problem, then you might want to use OpenClaw or Hermes. If you're not technical, if you want to implement it into your own company, you really need something a lot more robust. You really want to find a product, like or others, Presto or others that have solved memory at scale. They've solved permissions, roles and permissions. They've solved integration, like actually solved integration, not just have a bunch of integrations. Um, Solved unit economics, scaling, onboarding. You really want to find a company, and it has to be integrated into all your systems. So you got to choose one player that's like ahead and will stay ahead. Yeah, that's what I would say. You absolutely can. Yeah, OpenClaw and Hermes is in the right direction, but you really have to. I mean, you really have to wrangle with it. You have to have a lot of time to get it to where you need to be. But totally valid. Praise, yeah, is it okay? It's Preston. Yeah. So Justin, you want to talk about? She's asking. Samira is asking, is it Crazy on AI or Preston AI?
Well, Presto is the name of the company, PREST0, and then Preston is the name of our digital employee, PREST0N, Preston. So yeah, and he has a full-on avatar that you can talk to. He has the ability to make and receive phone calls, text, unlimited context memory for enterprise. Being able to integrate with software that's not that doesn't have APIs, like a real employee would. And we were talking. Miles mentioned briefly about the model he created. Well, he created that model and chose to on his own. So when we talked, or when I was prompting him, we had a customer or not a customer, a an API that we were using, Simile, and Simile was for lip sync. So when he's speaking, it'll use this API to be able to make his mouth move and kind of move his head dynamically and a few other little things. And this API just kept draining our account budget when it wasn't supposed to. So I would put like $10 or $20 on, and that was supposed to last for like 10,000 minutes or something like that. And every day the account would just be drained, and we're like, what's going on with this? And I was like, Preston, can you fix this? It just keeps messing up. It just keeps draining our account. Well, Preston was like, yeah, I'll fix it. So he just made his own model. He did the AI research, downloaded what was the software, Miles, that he downloaded?
PyTorch.
Yeah, PyTorch. Trains his own model, hosts it locally on his virtual machine, and he comes back. He's like, "Oh, I fixed it. It's working now." So he's got his own. He'll figure out a solution, even if it's not like a straightforward solution, because it's a better solution. It's something that you may not have thought of before, and so now we have a proprietary model because Preston figured that was the best way to solve this problem, and it really was. Now we don't have to pay for the API anymore, and and it's hosted locally, and it uses barely any resources. It's like a really small model, but it's very cool, that he just could do that AI research and train his own model. Yeah. Are there any other questions in the chat, Miles?
Nope.
All right, cool. Let's move
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
next.
you're good.
Okay. So let's see. The loop that makes it compound. This is a rhythm an AI native team runs every workflow over and over. So let's see. Define, state the outcome, build, wire the workflow, ship, put in front of real work, measure, track what it looks like, and it takes off your plate. And then, God, I got the thing covering, and improve. Feed results back in and repeat. So yeah, I mean, this is just talking about the compounding his abilities. So when you first, we've actually kind of talked about this a bit, is when you first start, you're going to state the outcome, you're going to watch the workflow. You'll, if it actually works, you're going to ship it out, you're going to measure that output. Okay, did it come out correctly? And then it's going to improve. And so this is the loop that he's doing in order to make sure that every time he ships, every time he does something, he's learning, okay, all right, was this right, was this not right? What was that? Okay, sorry, I heard somebody. Is this working? Is it actually doing what I want it to do? And then if it is, then he's gonna learn. He's gonna continue on with this improvement cycle. Yeah, sorry, I say him because I'm talking about Preston, but it could be whatever your thing is. Miles, you want to add anything to this?
Oh, that's right.
All right,
Exactly.
all
Yeah, the
right.
most important part when we're entering into an exponential like this is that your company is compounding its knowledge base. So when it gets better, then it improves and it improves. You are, I promise you, unless you're in a highly, highly regulated, by the way, that's changing. A regulated industry might be a deregulated industry in the future. Unless you're in an extremely high regulated area, your company and the company you're working for is going to lose to a company that is compounding productivity, within an AI system. And I'd love to have time to talk about how there's going to be more employment, not less employment in the future as a result of this, for counterintuitive reasons. But
Well,
uh,
there's going to be
yeah,
more
you
employment
need
for companies that are integrating and want massive amounts of output.
it.
So there will be companies that dissolve because they don't become AI first. They don't become agentic first, and then there will be companies that do, and they will be scaling and hiring because they'll just become massive companies with this, with the ability to do incredible amounts of work far beyond what a normal company could do with the traditional amount of employees. So yeah, let's see.
Exactly.
Mistakes software makes and how to avoid them. The trap. Yeah, buying tools instead of redesigning the work. Automating a broken process. One pilot that quietly stalls out. Treating AI as just the IT team problem. Waiting for perfection before shipping. And then the fix. Let's see. So there. Redesigning the workflow, then automating it. Fix the process before you scale it up. Pick the high leverage loop and ship it. Make every team its own or an owner of its AI. Ship, measure, and iterate weekly. So, I mean, beyond weekly, you want to be iterating, with every job, with every output, but yeah, I mean, it's basically, what a lot of companies will, they'll try to use, very basic AI tools and expect it to do the same thing that an AI employee can do. And it's really, really doesn't work like that. You have all this power at your fingertips with these AI employees, and they'll be using a chatbot and think that they're AI integrated. it's really not, it's not built for that. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Miles, do you want to say anything about this one?
No, exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Sorry if you mentioned this already. I think maybe we mentioned it earlier, but we find that middle management to, regular employees like silently, even unconsciously, sometimes sabotage these programs. So something you really have to be wary of and strategic about when implementing.